Hello Internet, and welcome to the interactivity with an audience streaming in VR show. Legend of Dungeon's actually already a great VR game. It is one of the very first games to kind of adopt the DK2 and show off how cool games can look in virtual reality. It's like playing an old school video game blown up in front of your face. If you have a headset, I definitely recommend you check it out. But it's actually not the VR aspect of the game that I want to talk about. It's the interactive streaming that is in the game. You can actually download a client for free on Steam, and while you're using the client, you can watch someone streaming Legend of Dungeon and interact with the person's dungeon. You can send them enemies, or friends, or weapons, or potions. Most importantly, everything that you send a person you can actually include a message with, so you can really troll or flirt or be friends with or just mess with someone when you're watching the stream. This feature, when you want to implement it with virtual reality and new games, really has an endless possibility. You could have a guy in a room and have the mess with the dude in virtual reality show where the person was walking through like a dark house and the audience could control the jump scares. Or if the audience member actually had a VR headset, you could have it where an audience member would send like a monster and be able to actually take control of that monster via first-person reality. From a business standpoint, it's a really good idea because you could have the audience actually pay for different things to interact with a player or streamer and have them go up in progression. Like for 10 cents, you could send the person a sword or whatever. Like that, and that's kind of how they have it in Legend of Dungeon. But you could even take it a further level and make it so that whenever someone pays X amount of money, they could take control of an enemy or somehow actually interact with the streamer. Such as you could have it be like, I have 25 seconds of voice on the stream for $5. And yeah, trolling would be a big factor, and you would have to somehow have an ultimate cutoff, or probably not. You'd probably just have to make the game totally out there with no rules and trigger warnings and all of that stuff, you know, not for the faint of heart. But that's what good art and games do. The amount of creativity that this format that the Robot Loves Kitty have created with their streaming interaction is crazy. It's the whole new game. There's been games where the most unbelievable stuff happens, and there's been games where like the audience pretty much took over, and it wasn't even about my game. It was about the audience fighting each other, with half of them trying to help me and half of them trying to kill me. If you were to add VR into the mix, you could make a whole metagame where some audiences controlled allies that helped fight for you, and some audiences controlled enemies that tried to kill you. And then the hero would be able to actually rotate. And this may actually get implemented in the game that Robot Loves Kitty is working on right now, Upsilon Circuit. Although I'm not sure if it's going to have any VR interactivity, but I do know that it's going to be very audience dependent. Either way, it just really has my imagination running wild that you could actually have an audience control your entire reality. And there are so many different possibilities that you could work out, where you could have the whole game be a giant battle of you versus the audience. Unfortunately, it's way past my dev skills, so I'm hoping that if I make a YouTube video about it, other people will do the work and make cool games using these techniques. The end.